I'm going to show you how to get broken overpowered early game in Hogwarts Legacy using an exploit that lets you get any trait that you want. I'm also going to explain to you different things about traits, how to get them, how to put them on, and how to get legendary gear that you need in order to use the ones that you want to get. Okay, so first off, you're going to need this loom. This comes from different quests. So there's a quest with the elf, the knapsack, and the whatever, and it'll have you go to the room of requirement if you don't already have it. Room of requirement, you can go here, and then go here if you've done the quest in order to fast travel to the room of requirement. And you'll eventually, with those side quests using Deke and, you know, the elf, the knapsack, all this stuff, you'll learn how to tame animals. If you need help with that, check out the description of this video. I have lots of different videos that can be helpful. You'll get vivariums, and you'll be able to tame animals for their parts, basically. And after that, there'll be another quest that will have you brush them and feed them and stuff, and then, you know, place this loom. So you're going to go through all that, and you'll eventually get the loom. It's not too hard. I don't need to go into too much detail on how to get the loom like that. It's pretty easy to figure out, guys. Just check out your side quests and things. Okay, so once you have the loom, you can upgrade your gear, or you can upgrade it with traits. And so when you go to a gear that's blue or above, you can press whatever button to view the traits that you currently have. And these traits have some pretty crazy stuff, like concentration, which just makes your spells all do more damage. So there's lots of really crazy spells, or not spells, traits that you can get. The problem is, how do you get these? How do you control what you get? Well, there's two different ways to get them. One way is to go to your challenges, and the combat-related challenges, most of them will give you, as a reward, one of these different traits. But the problem is, there's only like 20 of these, and there's still another 50 traits after that. So if you go to your collections, you can see what traits you have. There's 75 total. I think there's only like 21 or maybe 24 traits that you can get from challenges. So the other 50 are going to come from somewhere else. So to get the other 50, what you have to do is you have to go to the world map and you have to find bandit camps. So there's small bandit camps, there's medium bandit camps, and then there are bandit camp castles. And these will have collection chests in them that are different than your normal collection chests. These collection chests will drop traits, but there's something you need to know about before you go hunting for these, that there's an exploit you can use to get whatever trait you want. So there's a few different ways to go about this, but I'm going to go to a bandit camp now and show you what I mean. And then we're going to talk about putting on traits and what to do with them and what traits you might want. So when you get to one of these bandit camps, there will be bandits for you to slay. I've already gotten rid of all the bandits at this camp right now. And the collection chest will be somewhere in the bandit camp. You can see it on your compass. It's down there bottom left. You can see the chest icon. So this is the collection chest for this small bandit camp that I went to. Now, before you grab one of these, what you need to do is open up your menu, and you need to go to settings, and you need to save your game, because you can basically save scum these. So what happens is, when you load your game and open the chest again, it'll be different than the time before. So this time, I'm going to open it. We're going to get Laceration 2. But if I go to my settings, and I load my game back now, remember, it was Laceration 2. Well, when we do this, it changes what's in the chest that we're about to pick up. I don't know if it's when we load or if it's literally when you pick up the chest that it generates the item, but it's going to be a different item. Now it's Manipulation 1. So you can keep on rolling these until you get whatever trait you want. Now, there's a few things you need to know because it's actually not quite as straightforward as you would hope it would be. So first off, not every bandit camp can drop everything. So from my testing, unless I'm just insanely unlucky, I sat here for an hour doing this, and there were certain ones that it would not give me. So I was never able in a small bandit camp, or maybe specifically this bandit camp, it's hard to test, I never was able to get any of the blue traits at level 3. So the blue traits, if you go to your collections, there's different colors for these. There's yellow, orange, red, and blue. And I was never able to find a level 3 blue in a small bandit camp, or specifically this small bandit camp. I still don't know if it's just small versus medium versus, you know, large ones or castles or whatever, or if it's actually this specific one. They each have their own loot table. Not entirely sure. But what I did find out was that if I went up instead of this small one right here, just as a reference point, the small test I did, this medium bandit camp up here, I was able to get the one that I was after. Is definitely in the drop pool of that one to get Concentration 3, which is quite arguably the best trait in the entire game. So if you do want one that, at least on my game, was guaranteed to have it, this one, Medium Bandit Camp, can in fact drop it. Now, there's one other thing that you need to know about. The fact that there are 75 traits, or from these chests, a little over 50 that you can generate. So it's the odds of you getting what you want are actually very low. So if there's something you want, Yes, there's a 1 in 50 chance you'll get it, so maybe that'll take you like 10 minutes on average. But if you're unlucky, it might take like 700 rolls then in order to get it. So, and also on top of that, I don't know for sure that they all have the same loot table, because like I said, I was never able to find any of the blues level 3 at this small bandit camp. So it might be that each bandit camp has its own set of loot tables for these traits, and there's a decent amount of them on the loot table for each one, but certain ones might be missing 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 that you need. So one thing that I would recommend doing is going around to all the small bandit camps, or just a bunch of them, and just clearing the small bandit camps and just looting the collection chests, or any bandit camps that you want to go to, small, medium, large, whatever. Just go to like 10 of them, maybe 20 of them, and just take the collection chests. And that will narrow down the loot tables in these things so that you're more likely to get the trait that you want when you do your re-rolling of traits. So then when you go to do this, instead of 1 out of 50, you can get it down to 1 out of 30 or something like that. So, I mean, if you're going to, play the game anyway and just enjoy it and have fun, then definitely go and clear some of the bandit camps first before doing this, if you want to save yourself the horrible grind of sitting here for an hour loading and saving, basically. So that's a few different ways to go about it. And like I said, not every bandit camp is guaranteed to have all the traits, from my testing at least. But again, I could have just been really unlucky. But I literally sat here and reloaded like 110 times and didn't get a single level 3 blue. So I think it is probably camp by camp, or maybe it's the size of the camp, small versus medium versus castle, that can determine some of these things. Okay, so then once you have that trait, there's some more things that you need to know. So in order to apply the trait, you have to go back to the room of requirement and go to the loom. So if it's a level 3, it can only be applied to a legendary piece of gear. If it's level 2, it can be applied to a purple, and if it's level 1, it can be applied to a blue. Now, obviously, a higher level 1 can take lower level 1s as well. So I can put a level 1 on a legendary, or I can put a level 3 or a level 2. But if I go to a purple, if I put an upgrade purple, I can't put on the level 3s. It'll say at the bottom right is too powerful. But I could put on a level 2 or a level 1 because this is a level 2 item. So hopefully that makes sense. So any of the level 3s can only go on legendaries. So once you do that, there's also, it's important to know that you're going to need different animals, animal parts basically, in order to upgrade your gear. Now, there's a few different ways to do this. One of them is to catch the animal yourself in the vivarium. Or catch it yourself and put it in the vivarium and then take care of it by feeding and brushing, and every 10 minutes or whatever, you can get more of the item. And if you need help finding any of the beasts, check out the description of this video. There's all sorts of helpful videos, like the 30,000 gold per hour gold farm and legendary exploits and where all the beasts are. Lots of helpful videos in that description, so definitely check that out. But you could just go to like the Kneasel den, catch a bunch of Kneasels, and then put them in there. Or if you don't want to go through that hassle, another thing that you can do is there's different shops you can go to just buy some of them. There's not a whole lot in stock at a time, and it would take, I think it's was it 5? I think it's 5 sleep cycles, wait cycles, in order to refresh a shop. But you could go to Hogsmeade, and you could go to Brood and Peck to try to buy some supplies. Another place that has the animal parts is way up here in Pitapon Ford, and I don't really have it to show you on the map, but there's a vendor right at the center of town who also sells animal parts. I'm sure there's other ones throughout the map, but those are just 2 that you could start at to get, whatever piece you need, Kneasel fur, Grafhorn horn, or whatever, in order to put the trait onto your gear so you can get what you want. Now, there's even more that I want to share with you. Okay, so we talked about legendary. I'm going to explain to you how you can get a full set of legendary whenever you want. I'm just going to explain what was in the other video real quick, but if you want a more detailed guide of this, then go to my description and find the actual video that I made about this. But the TLDR is that you can generate legendaries whenever you want if you do the gold exploit that I have in the description of this video. So if you, or any gold farm that you want, if you have a bunch of gold, or if you just farm a bunch of gold like the way I show with 30,000 an hour, then money's no issue. And if money's no issue, then there's an exploit that you can do, which is you can go to the map, you can go to Hogsmeade, and there's the one guy in Hogsmeade right here, Glad Rags Wizardwear. And this guy will sell random gear, and some of that gear will be legendary gear. But he doesn't refresh his shop very often. But it turns out all you gotta do is check for legendary gear. If you see what you want, buy it, because you hopefully have infinite money if you watch my video on how to make money. Then what you're gonna do is you wait 5 times in a row, 2.5 days, and he'll refresh his shop. And you can just check again and buy whatever legendaries you want, and then wait 5 times, buy whatever legendaries you want, and you just do that until you get a full set of legendaries at your level with whatever style you want or whatever. That's like the TLDR of how to get all the legendaries you need in order to be able to apply these traits. But now there's one more critical thing you need to know about that you probably didn't know. So these traits, one question you might have, or some of you might have, is do they stack? So if I get a full set of legendary gear and I put concentration on every single one of those pieces of gear, will it stack? And I've done some research on this, and yes, it will stack. These traits do stack. You can get all concentration 3, and it'll just keep on adding damage to your spells. Now, I haven't done a whole lot of testing. I think maybe it's additive and not multiplicative or whatever. So, like, if you do 100, and I don't know how much it adds. I haven't done the hard testing on this trait in particular. But, for example, say you do 100, and now you put it on and you do 125. If you put another one on, I think it's going to be like 150 then 175, then 2. It's not going to be like, you know, additive or whatever it is. So, it's not going to be 125 and then like 158 and then like 189 and then like 240 and then, you know, 300. You know, it's not going to keep adding upon itself. It's just, I think, but don't quote me on that because I didn't actually test. I just saw a few numbers and was like, okay, whatever. That's not the point of this video anyway. But I just want you to know these do stack. So if you just want to go all in on one thing, or you just want to make Incendio do 1 trillion damage or whatever it is you want to do, you just get the trait that you want and then put on every single piece of gear. So that is the play basically. And one other thing is concentration's insanely good. And then another one that's insanely good is the one at the very, very bottom, which is binding 3, which makes stealth totally crazy, which we'll talk about more in a follow-up video. So we'll be sure to check that out when that comes out. All right, so there you go, guys. That's everything about the trait exploit and how to get super OP early. You could do this very early. The elf, the knapsack, and whatever quest, and then this loom quest come very early in the game. I think like level 12 or something like that. So definitely do this earlier, especially if you're playing on a harder difficulty. This can make your game much easier to do. If you're playing on hard, you should definitely do this because it'll make you super OP super early. All right, so that's it, guys. Also, if this video helped you out and you want to help me out, check out Art Gallery Simulator. It's a game that I'm making on Steam. I have the link for that in the description of this video below the first paragraph. And if you just want to go and check it out and wishlist it, that would help me out a lot. So either way, guys, I hope this video helped you out. Now you know the trait exploit and how to abuse it to be super OP early, mid-game, or late game in Hogwarts Legacy.